everyone, and welcome back to True to Form. We are now in season 7. I'm your host, Audrey Neff. I am so grateful that we are now bringing back another season of True to Form. I cannot wait to see where the 2024 season takes us. But with that said, we have two incredible guests with us today. I'm super excited to have a conversation with them, who is Joe Gasque, who is the CEO of MedShift, and we also have with us Sean Shapiro, who is the Chief Commercial Officer of MedShift. I will have them both go into their backgrounds here shortly, but we were actually introduced probably late last year, probably 4 months ago, maybe 5 months ago, from a good mutual friend of ours, Michael Moretti, who I'm sure a lot of you guys know him, runs the Aesthetic Industry Association, Medical Insights. They do a lot of market research data and great things like that. But so I was actually introduced to both Joe, Sean, and their incredible CMO as well, Jen, who is not on the podcast today, but she's incredible as well. So their entire team is awesome. But MedShift, and we're going to go into a lot of things today, but MedShift, for those of you guys who aren't familiar, they have a really unique business model. They've actually been around since 2015. And after countless meetings that I've had over the last couple of months with their executive leadership team, I can confidently say that they are certainly an emerging leader in the ever evolving and ever growing medical aesthetic industry. They bring so many different opportunities, and we'll unpack that today, to help both manufacturers and practices of all sizes really grow and scale their businesses through their unique suite of services. So other than that, Joe and Sean, welcome to the True to Form podcast. Happy New Year. It's great to see you guys again, and just we're so pumped to have you here on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, appreciate you having us. We're honored.
Absolutely. So I as our listeners all know, I don't like reading bios off a piece of paper, but I know both of you guys have extensive backgrounds from so many different angles. So I think it would be awesome, before we jump into today's exciting episode, we'll start with you, Joe, and then we'll move over to Sean, is if you can kind of give us an intro of yourself, your background. We'll start there, and then we'll kind of move into the story of MedShift.
Awesome, happy to. And Sean is the industry aesthetics veteran compared to me, but been with MedShift for 2 years, so really enjoying aesthetics. Prior to that, 21 years at GE Healthcare, so kind of on the traditional healthcare side, reimbursable hospital, physician practice, etc. The last few years at GE Healthcare, 2 roles that kind of are helping me kind of think through aesthetics. The first one, or the last one I led the ultrasound business for the U.S. and Canada, and so we grew that to $1 billion. And ultrasound was becoming ubiquitous across the healthcare landscape, and that's somewhat, that translates to aesthetics and how that's the high growth, fast paced nature of aesthetics. And of course, ultrasound's now being used in aesthetics routinely as well. And then prior to that, I was the chief marketing officer for the U.S. and Canada across the whole portfolio. So patient monitoring, MRI, angio, cath labs, et cetera. So it's a great background there. But the last 2 years have been tremendously exciting, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, and glad to be in this great industry. So Sean.
Thanks, Joe. And Audrey, Happy New Year, and to all your listeners, happy and healthy New Year for 2024. I'm super excited to be on this show, and I have watched you over the years speak at many shows and trade shows, and I've always been honored to have this opportunity. So my background goes back about 19 years in the aesthetic industry, starting off as a sales rep in my hometown of Phoenix, Arizona, and with a company called Luminous Laser Company. Had the privilege to really start early on with some of now the biggest leaders. There's a bunch of wine guys that used to sell wine prior to this that got into this industry through that experience and relationships, and started off at Luminous and was a sales rep for many years, working in the Southwest market. And then from there, I had an opportunity to do this little teeny startup that a doctor relationship got me an opportunity to, called Cool Sculpting. Zeltique and Cool Sculpting. So was one of the 4th reps ever hired at Cool Sculpting, had an opportunity to really start and get into the body contouring division. And we all know where Cool Sculpting went and the great people that were a part of that. And that was an awesome experience. But I had another opportunity that came to me called Althera. and Althera was in the backyard, developed here in Arizona. And so I took a leap of faith and left Cool Sculpting and went to Althera and really helped build that capital business and moved into leadership there. And really had a great culture, great experience there with a great product that got bought by MERS and was a part of the MERS acquisition for $650 million, and ended up moving with MERS and the team over there, and got to continue to grow my career there and run all of the capital sales. We were selling Althera, the transducers, as well as Selfina for cellulite at that time. So really loved to work there and learn the aesthetic industry more, and the injectable side and skincare side that the MERS entire portfolio was about. And again, great people, great culture, great opportunity. But I love challenges. I've always loved challenges, and I love startup. And I've always went with my heart in relationships and go with those relationships. And I got recruited to start a little startup in women's health at the time called Vivive. And so I started Vivive, built out the commercial team, and had an opportunity to have my first VP of sales role there and really start from nothing. We didn't even have a sales agreement at the time. So it was a great opportunity to really build that category up and work with great people, work with a whole new category, and really had a wonderful time there for a couple of years. And a lot of things changed within that category and in that industry, but loved my experience there. And I tell a lot of people that was where I really learned leadership through many different things that went on. Through COVID was during that, and many other things that happened. Through that relationship, I worked with MedShift at the time, and I was working with MedShift and the owners there through the financing program. So they were financing a lot of our devices. I really got to meet the core people of MedShift and just loved the founders and the people that were there. And I'm a relationship guy. I've kind of always wear my relationships on my sleeves, and I just really liked them and kept in touch with them. And through that, while Vivive was kind of fizzling out, I had an opportunity to work with one of another titans in the industry, Brad Hauser, and he gave me an opportunity to come with a small little company called Soliton that to build this great product, Soliton, acoustic shockwave technology for cellulite and tattoo. And within 3 months of we got acquired by Allergan. And so it was an amazing opportunity. We got acquired for $550 million and all of that. But that was quick-lived. Wonderful things that happened there, but moved on and went through that acquisition, and I got an opportunity to come to MedShift. And I'm the Chief Commercial Officer, been here for roughly almost 2 years now, working directly side by side with Joe, and loving being back in the industry and offering all the things we have.
I love it. And it's so cool to hear both of your guys' backgrounds, and I can see how you guys work so well together. Just given, Joe, you're 21 years at GE Healthcare, and then Sean, I feel like you've just done everything in the aesthetic industry. So you have certainly an impressive career. And I think that was so cool that you were actually one of the first 4 reps in Cool Sculpting. So it's very cool to see how your journey in aesthetics evolved. And I feel like that's pretty in tune with how fast the aesthetic industry evolves as well, like conceptually as a whole. Like it's growing double digits. It's not slowing down. The market size is expanding. We're in this consolidation phase now too. We have investment money coming, and it's so exciting. So I just think it's cool to hear people's story when they have, close to a decade of experience in the aesthetic industry, because it's a lot of times it's so in tune with the bigger picture of how the industry has been evolving as well.
Yeah, I tell Joe this all the time, that number one, if we're not innovating, we're not winning. And number two, if you hire full-time HR, I'm gone, or we have to sell the company. It's because that's what startups is all about. So.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I feel like we operate probably on similar wavelengths. I love the startup energy, and you're just in the grind every single day. So I certainly respect and appreciate that about you. And something else I love that you said, and this will be a good kind of segue into what we're talking about now, is you touched on relationships too. And it's something I will add to is this industry. I mean, all industries are about relationships on some level, right? We're all people and human. But something that's really cool about the aesthetic industry is I see that the companies that have grown the healthiest and the most successfully and the most sustainably. MedShift is a great example. Their business is really built on relationships at the core. And I know that we're going to get into this, and just knowing kind of, the business model that you guys have. I know you guys put a huge, huge emphasis on that. But before we jump into that, let's back up a little bit, because now I'm sure a ton of our listeners, maybe some of them, have worked with you guys in the past. I know you guys work with, thousands of clinics, and then obviously you have a ton of your manufacturer partnerships as well, which we'll certainly dive into. But if we take a couple steps back, going back to 2015 when MedShift was initially founded, like what was the MO behind it? Like, what was the driver? What were the gaps that you guys initially saw in the industry to kind of launch the venture?
Absolutely. And I'll take a first pass, Sean, and then jump in here. So 2015, as mentioned, Audrey, our two founders, really two families came together. One founder had just sold his company to Accenture. His background is cloud computing, so core technology. The other two founders, family, they were in the capital sales and also injectables. And it was, how could they provide a service to clinicians and practices and reduce the risk to get capital equipment. So with the technology background, we developed very early on connected device technology for pay-per-use models. So we would buy the device, MedShift would buy the device from the manufacturers that the practice wanted. We would have our connected device technology on that piece of capital equipment, and then we would just bill by how many procedures they did in a month. So that's how the business started, really trying to solve a problem for the practice around high cost of capital, taking the risk of capital, and how do they share that risk with a partner like MedShift. So that's how the business started back in 2015.
Very interesting. And yeah, I mean, going back, and when we talk about capital equipment and things like that, obviously that's a big part of our industry. That's one of the core 3 segments, let's call it, maybe 4 segments if we were like EBD and things like that. And it can be, in a lot of cases, it can be a really great opportunity for success for a business and profitability, or it can be literally their demise. And because if they invest in I run into startups all the time, or practices that have been open for 5-6 years, and they're struggling because they threw all their money into wrong pieces of equipment. It wasn't the right device. They weren't optimizing it for ROI the right way, all of these things. And we all know how that story ends. So it's interesting always when I have conversations around this specific topic, is because it can be a really, really great opportunity, or it can be literally the exact opposite. So you guys initially started just as pay-per-use. You had this technology, you connected to the device, and however many treatments the practice was doing, that's all they were basically paying you guys for in utilizing the device. And obviously, and that's cool, first of all, but it's cool because now we want to move into kind of the evolution of how you guys have grown and evolved from that. So first of all, that was definitely a gap you guys filled, because capital equipment it's high risk for sure. It's an investment. It's not cheap. So talk a little bit now about, so that was kind of the starting point, let's say, because obviously you guys have just evolved immensely over the last several years. So talk a little bit more about the evolution beyond that stage.
And maybe I'll set kind of the picture high level, and then let Sean go into kind of our device subscription program, and a little bit about how we try to wrap other services, including the MedShift store, around practices to help them and really try to help them be successful. So where we've evolved to today, after 8, now moving into 9 years in 2024, is there's 4 business lines underneath the technology umbrella. So our device financing, our subscription business line, which Sean will talk more about, where we'll work with the manufacturers and the practices for the device that the practices want, and we'll put that in a subscription model. And I'll let Sean double click on that here in a second. The other area is the MedShift store, where now really over the last year and a half, we've curated offerings and products and services that we believe practices need, and can help them be more efficient. And Sean will dive into that a little bit more. And then the other two components really is around that core technology piece. So the connected device technology that we first offered back in 2015 for the pay-per-use model. We're on our third iteration of that. It's patent pending. We now work with manufacturers to embed that into their system so that they can see utilization, location, and practices with utilization and benchmarking, et cetera. So we work with manufacturers on that, and some large practices that just want to see their utilization data. And then finally, as we were working with the manufacturers and actually buying product, whether it was capital equipment or consumables from them, the buying process was pretty antiquated. So let's say you placed a purchase order for a consumable. You would get a paper invoice for that consumable, then you get a paper invoice a couple weeks later for the tax, then you get a paper invoice a couple weeks later for the shipping. So with our software background, we said, hey, let us solve this for you. And so we've built now a platform called Velocity that the manufacturers use to help run their back office, from order entry all the way through inventory management, shipping and receiving, and an e-commerce platform on the front end. So to really help them, the manufacturers, streamline their customer experience and make that easier to do business with. So that's really what we've built out. So those are the 4 business lines under all enabled through technology and how we go to market, both for the practices, but then also for the great partners in aesthetics that we work with on the manufacturing and distribution side. So Sean, do you want to kind of fill in the gaps there on the device financing and subscription?
Yeah, I think what's really unique is that on the device side of the business, Audrey, is we're not a bank. So we're a private lender. So that gives us a lot of flexibility on how we go to market and how we underwrite deals. And so with that, we take approach of a very holistic approach to how we underwrite deals. It's not traditional 100% FICO and debt to income ratio. We look at or how long have they been in business, or if they're only a plastic surgeon or a dermatologist. We take all of those things into consideration, but we definitely look at it much more holistically. So one of the things where I think is very unique is that we'll look at a startup nurse practitioner, PA, business owner that is looking to get into this industry and has a good business model, might have other income sources, like they're working in the hospital and they've been doing injections for a while and they have a good core basis of patients that are ready to do, let's say, hair removal or microneedling. And because we're not bank underwriters, we look at that experience, and then we look at all the other key factors. Do they have the income? Do the FICO and all that? And we make more a call based off of that. And we found that to be very, very successful and really allow these accounts as well as our manufacturers to get into this wonderful business. And so that's really how we look at underwriting and how we go to market and ensure that they're as successful as we are. And the other great thing that we do, because we're not a bank, is that, and our experience is that we wrap services around our contract. So for example, we give you loyalty points to come into our store to get other products at discounts. So that's one thing. We partner with other marketing firms to get marketing services to help launch their product outside of what the manufacturer does, to ensure that they, one, continue to make the payments, but be successful with that device. And so that's kind of how we look at it, very differently than anyone else does.
Yeah. And so first of all, I mean, there's so many questions I have now, but I guess the first thing top of mind is, because I just want to put this into like the simplest terms possible. So obviously, you know, given what you guys offer, you're not bank underwriters, you're a private lender. Something I love about you guys, and I think this also bridges a gap in our industry, is because you touched on something that I want to kind of step back and reiterate for our audience, because I know of our tens of thousands of listeners, we have a ton of people that are coming into this industry looking to start their own practices. They're burned out from the hospital, whether they're an RN, a PA, NP, some type of mid-level extender, whatever it is. People are are dying to break into the medical aesthetic industry. I hear it all the time. Look, training's a whole nother topic, but we have episodes around that if anyone wants to go listen to a couple episodes back. And when they to make that shift and that transition from, okay, I'm going to leave whatever my current job is, or maybe I'm still going to stay part-time, and I'm going to decide to open up a business. I'm going to become my own boss. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And it's difficult, especially because these people come from a medical background, not a business background. So when it comes to device investments and things like that, especially in today's current economic state with financing and things like that going on, it can be a challenge. So obviously this is where you guys come in. This is just, in my opinion, it fills the giant gap for the entry of new practices, new entrepreneurs coming in this industry. And I will say something that also can make or break your success is finding the right partners to work with. You guys obviously are phenomenal partners, given that you fill all the gaps around, different aspects of what a practice would need, from device to consumables to, we'll go into some other products, because I know you guys have a great relationship with the MERS portfolio as well. And so I think it's awesome that you guys are obviously still looking at things. So you still look at, debt to income ratio and all these other things, but you're also like, okay, they have a part-time job. We'll look at that too. Or they have an existing list of patients. They've been working at a larger practice, but they have this existing list of patients that could pretty much be ideal patients for them and come get treated. So just all of those things. I just wanted to reiterate that, because I think for our listeners, that's something that definitely makes you guys unique. From that side of things, are just with the market size growing, a lot of people coming in, you guys are obviously a phenomenal partner to consider working with. So because I just have a couple of questions now too. So around the financing. So obviously you guys have these relationships with the manufacturers, many relationships. Actually, I think it'd be pretty cool, Sean, if you could unpack the different relationships you guys have on the device side. I know Sinclair is one of them, Viora. And I know that they've said wonderful things about you guys. I'm very close friends with their entire leadership team and their VP of sales, Arturo, and he said wonderful things about you guys as well. So I know that they use you as well. So first of all, I don't want to keep jibber jabbing, but go into the partnerships that you guys have currently with the device manufacturers in this space, because I think that'd be really great for our audience to know.
Yeah, happy to. We have some great partnerships, and we look at partnerships as hard as the customer is going to look at them. Are they going to give the great warranties? Are they going to be there to support it? Do they have great products that deliver on their message? So Sinclair, as you mentioned, is one of them. We work with Luminous, Cartessa, AMP, Revell, that's coming into the market really big now, Lutronics, Alma, MERS. And then on our surgical side, we're a big partner with Apex, Renuvion as well. So those, we have a couple spatterings of some more there that I might have missed, so I apologize on that. But we really cover almost the full gamut of products. And if I would give one piece of advice, because as you mentioned, there's a lot of people that come this over the years, and what I've seen, especially from the financing side, is that the partnership is just important, as well as don't bite off more than you can chew. So, yeah. And I'm a capital guy, right? I want to sell as much as humanly possible to an account. But if I'm an injector, first person coming in, start with one. Get good at one, because you always keep growing. Because if you deliver to that patient that result, what you promised, they will stay with you forever. And you build off, and then that grows. When you bite off more than you can chew, you can't afford it, you fail, and that's what happens. And so we look at that from an underwriting standpoint as well. And ultimately, we also look at it to be holistically within our organization. So when you're with us, we look at our store and really look at those partners on our store as well. That are these products, from our experience that we source and look throughout the globe, are they delivering on the message? Do they really deliver on that to the end patient? So if I'm the doctor, or if I'm the mid-level giving whatever product to your patients, and that's huge. If you don't deliver, they don't stay, you don't be successful. So we want to make sure all of our products on our store, all of our services that we're financing, all of that, it delivers. And so that's one of our core principles when we're looking at our store, as well as looking at our financing with our partners. Does it deliver on what it says? and does it support the end user? And that's really important to us.
Yeah, and real quick, just to add on to that, Sean, well said. And Audrey, you mentioned earlier from Sean's opening comments, just around relationships. We're in this for the long game, both with the manufacturers that we work with. This isn't a short-term game for us, and the practices that we partner with, and we want to help them be successful. The goal to any business is if you're solving problems for your customer, i.e. the practice's patient, or for the manufacturers, their practices, then you have a successful business model. So our goal is to continue to help solve problems, both for the practices, help them be as successful as they possibly can be, and for the manufacturers. And that's kind of the long game approach. And in relationships, there's ups and downs, but if you always have the right intentions and have truth and transparency, then you're in it for the long game.
Yeah, like I could not agree more. And yeah, going back to Sean, what you were saying, build slow, like building too fast. You shouldn't be doing that. Being mindful, buying smart. So a couple of questions now too. So around the financing, so practices, entrepreneurs, they come to you, you guys approve them, let's say, and I'm curious around, are they basically leasing to buy the device at the end? So are they
Yes.
paying to own it? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So what we do is we actually do a subscription model, but it's a subscription that you're locked into. You can't get out of, like when you sign the deal. So I want to be clear there. But typically what happens is our partners like Sinclair, Cartessa, like all those companies, their reps go out and they choose MedShift as an option for their account. So we don't have a field-based sales team. So they help, our field-based sales team is our partners. And so they'll choose that option for that account. Then the account will come to us and fill out the normal forms. And then if they decide to go with us, they're locked into a monthly payment for a certain amount of terms, just like a financing. And at the end of that terms, they own that equipment outright, or they can buy it before the end of the terms. There's no, we're very transparent. So there's no hidden costs or balloon payments and things like that nature.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I just wanted to clarify that for myself.
Just real quick, Audrey, that is, so most of the lead, we did roughly just 2023, which we just wrapped up, we purchased roughly 450 devices for practices. And so that mostly came through the sales professionals from those manufacturer partners. But we do receive on our website and store.medshift.com inquiries from practices saying, here's the device I'd like to buy. What would that look like? And so practices can surely do that. And then in turn, we can go then work with the manufacturer. So it goes both ways. We surely can do that too.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So typically most of the practices that get referred over to you guys are coming by way of avenues directly from the manufacturer of the partnerships you guys have, but some practices are reaching out to you guys directly. So I'm sure you guys are, obviously you have a long list of all of, the top leading manufacturer brands that we all know and love in this space. I'm sure you guys are probably in conversations with plenty of others too. So I just like that. And something else I like is obviously we're not in this industry to compete with each other. If we all succeed, then the industry succeeds. So, I just think it's great to see the growing variety of the device and manufacturer partnerships that you guys have under your belt in your portfolio. And I'm super duper excited to just, because I'm confident that you guys are not slowing down. As you said, Joe, you guys are in it for the long haul. So that's something I definitely respect about you guys in the entire MedShift business model. And also just talking to you guys, like the value prop that just keeps coming to mind to me is, and just like when we talk about economies of scale from a business standpoint of running a practice, the more efficiently you can have everything connected together, the more profitable you're going to become, because you have less things that are completely siloed and not connected to each other. And I feel like that concept's very applicable with MedShift too, because obviously, your guys' accounts and customers, everything is together, so they can come to you guys for not just their devices, but also their consumables, injectables. If we want to start talking about, the partnership that you guys have with MERS, you guys have the software, you have the marketing support. Like there's all of these things that you guys offer under one roof with one partner to just connect all of these things into one like source of truth and one trusted partner. So from my standpoint, just because I'm a big preacher of, operational efficiencies and things like that. And that's certainly something like that. That's just something that's always at top of mind when I talk to you guys. And that's certainly a big value prop in the industry. But moving on to something else, because I know that you guys have a super exciting enhancements, let's call it, to the MedShift store. I know that we kind of briefly touched on that at a high level, but I think it would be so awesome if we could kind of shift. So we talked about financing, the different kind of pillars that you guys have of the MedShift business model. So I think it'd be really cool if we kind of shifted, no pun intended, I guess, to the MedShift store side of
That's
things.
awesome.
So whoever wants to take that, talk about this, because I know you guys have a ton of exciting things happening
Yeah,
right now.
I'll take a first stab at it. And yeah, I love what you said, shifted, because we're making the shift with MedShift. That's our kind of
Yeah.
our logo and then our aspiration. But back to what we said earlier, when we first started, and it was really brilliant by our founders, when we started doing the financing, we were also making sure that all the consumables were set up on an e-commerce store for that customer to easily purchase through us. We would buy in bulk and try to get discounts, and we did that just naturally. It wasn't something we thought of as a business. But through the evolutions of the past 8 years, it's become 40% of our revenue. And what we learned listening to our customers is they were asking for more things. I'm buying my consumable here, but do you recommend a skincare? Do you recommend an injectable? What have you heard about exosomes? Can you get this? Can you get that? Cannulas. And we were hearing this over and over. And so we started kind of quietly expanding new things and getting new products for basically our device customers that were on there. And now we're 4,600 strong customers on the store. We shift our platform to a new platform, and we really are launching all new store, which will include a loyalty program. For every purchase you make, you're going to get cash back, no hidden things, no difficulty, so that they can continue to make purchases. So pass on savings. It's the first ever aesthetic true ecosystem that's offering truly, like you said, a one-stop online marketplace. You don't need to shop anywhere else for your aesthetic supplies, top brands, device consumables, products and bundles that we are creating. We're getting into the wellness category. I'm really excited to say we will have the first ever sublingual semaglutide product. So
Nice.
why is that? Yeah, everyone's heard about GLP-3 and the sublingual. I've been using it. I've loved it. I'm skiing great these days and feeling great. But what's great about this product is instead of an injection, it's a pill form, but it's sublingual. So it goes right into the system. And that's really, really unique. So we're offering a full package on how you do this, how you implement it, and how you sell it to your patients and get it and get the supplies and ensure that you get the supplies. So this is the power of MedShift, right? We go out and source these great products, what's happening, and really kind of create a platform. Another great example is BBLs. BBLs are very popular, but where do you get the training? How do you speak to your customer? How can I get the supplies at a discounted price so I can actually price it to a customer, not price myself out and make money? We do that. So we work with our great partner MERS. We buy in bulk. We get those bulk discounts. We pass it on in a full package so that the doctor can now provide a great service that's considered off-label, a great service through training, through bundling the products together, through all the steps and training all in one. We offer that on the store, and we sell that on the store. As well as, not only do you get the loyalty points, but we've created flexible payments. So we have an opportunity to do Apple Pay or pay in terms, so, cash is difficult for a lot of these practices and managing all that. So now at the store, and this is what we're really excited about, is that we have different terms that you can pay on, whether it be Apple Pay, whether it be for a term, buy it over 4 months, or subscription programs. We offer all that with nothing hidden. It's all your choice, your decision. On top of that, because we're a trusted retailer and we look at the price, we do price match guarantee. If you find a price on that competitive product out there better and show us, and it's a legitimate product and all of that, we'll price match guarantee it. So we are going to pass on, our goal is to pass on the savings that we can get from our partners to you. So again, operational efficiencies, a unique shop. There's no hidden issues there. We're not getting commissions to drive a certain product. but we really try to source best products for the store and best partnerships for the store. And we're super, super excited about launching it and making it an easy experience for our customers and any customer.
Yeah, I love it. And something that I was thinking about it as you were talking, Sean, and this is, once again, this is something that a lot of people are going to be able to relate to, a lot of our listeners. Because going back to 2023, we're seeing a lot of industry consolidation. So we see, there's franchises that are continuing to grow, national brands, de novo builds, private investment groups coming in doing roll-ups, and they have benefits that your typical standalone practice is not going to get, such as group discounts with buying, whether it's from MERS or any of those other companies and things like that. So it can make it difficult for those single location or maybe 2 location practices that are not backed by an investment group, that are not part of a franchise or a national, enterprise brand. That's actually a very common challenge with it now, given that we're in this stage. So I think it's because this is just all that was kind of going through my head when you were talking, is this goal of MedShift is to pass the savings on to the customer. And obviously a lot of your guys' accounts and customers are those single location practices, those, maybe couple location practices that, aren't part of these big brands. And there may be franchises down the road from them. And from that cost aspect, it can be very difficult to compete with that. So I think that's just another gap that you guys kind of come in and solve for, without a doubt. So
Yeah.
around this, and if there's anything you guys want to add to that.
Yeah, I would just say you nailed it 100%. A lot of our customer base are younger med spas or practices under 3 years, and they don't have the time, let alone the resources, to go out and source the greatest products, to go out and get with the greatest routes, to find the greatest discounts, or invest so much money to get the best tier price for those different products. And that's a gap there in our industry, but they're the fastest growing segment in our industry. So we saw that, and we saw that from our own trials and tribulations by financing these people, and basically said, let's make it easier. And because we're a tech company, let's make it what the world buys it, right? Amazon, right? Go to the store, get it, make it easy, ship. Let me do it when I'm driving home, and before I get to the kids, on my mobile phone. That's the way the world works today. So that's the way MedShift works. We make it easy through a source of an e-commerce site, pass on the savings, source the greatest products. And that's really, you nailed it, that's what we saw as a massive gap. And we're so excited to bring it to the industry right now. Super excited.
Yeah, and just quickly, Audrey, Sean said that really well. We've in the last 12 months expanded, on the store, 16 new partners. We have 3 starting here in January. So we're continuing to grow the store to become that one-stop shop. A little bit back to operational efficiency, as you mentioned, especially for the newer practice. How many different manufacturers / distributors / McKesson or Henry Schein websites they need to go to? So we're trying to provide that value. So they trust it, and they can do what they want to do, which is take care of patients, versus trying to go source the right products at a good price so that they can turn a profit.
Yeah, definitely. And also, I'm writing down so many notes, but I just think, just going back to, once again, Sean, what you were saying, the fastest growing segment of this industry is still your solopreneur standalone practices. Like, it's not a consolidated med spa. And I think a lot of times with some of the episodes I've done, with some of my good franchise and investment friends in episodes back, I think sometimes people freak out about it, and they think that these consolidated brands are just taking over the industry. Like, yes, they're coming in, but it's going to take a lot of time. What is still fueling growth, and what's fueling the majority of growth in this industry, and that is over 80% of the market share in medical aesthetics, are still your typical standalone medical spas that, with the market size increasing, that, just like you guys said, the majority of your accounts have been open less than 3 years or less, or whatever it may be. So I just think it's cool that, because you guys are really going after the market that needs it the most. And so, just to put a positive spin on things, I think a lot of practices, they get freaked out about this whole consolidation conversation. And, let's put a pin in that, because there's actually a lot of opportunities for those of you guys, of our listeners, you're not backed, which is the majority of you guys. Like, there are people out there, AKA MedShift, who have come in and they've really just made it their mission and their vision to help solve this gap for all of you guys. So I love what you guys are doing. There's just so many, not just benefits. You guys have an incredible business model, but beyond that, you guys are just really awesome people. And, I think in this industry, we all just want to work with people that we like and respect and admire and have great relationships with. Like at the end of the day, that's what fuels this industry. So for our listeners, I also, beyond their incredible business model that I love, they're just really, really awesome people. So I definitely couldn't encourage reaching out to them more. But building on the story really quickly, and I know we have less than 10 minutes left here, is you mentioned you guys added 16 new partners this year, or was that last year?
2023, yep.
2023, which is amazing. On that topic, you said 3 partners this month in January as well. So we're actually very excited over at the Patient Now portfolio. RX Photo, who I know a ton of you guys use in this industry as well, which is our awesome before and after photo app. We're super excited to have our RX Photo, which will also be a part of your guys' marketplace. So we're really, really excited about the collaboration and partnership that we'll have with you guys moving forward. So that's something I just wanted to throw out there because we're definitely, certainly immensely grateful for that as well. And then the one thing I wanted to touch on before we wind down is you guys talked about your loyalty program. So I want to go into this really briefly because once again, from the practice level, loyalty strategies are a must. And I preach about it all day, membership programs, loyalty rewards. Like if you're a practice, you need to have it. And I just think it's so cool, you guys, that a lot of these concepts that you guys have implemented in company-wide in MedShift are also just applicable to practices as well. So talk a little bit about the loyalty program, like how, like, is it a point system, just how it works so our listeners can kind of understand, because I think that's something that's really cool that you guys offer.
John, do you want to touch on it?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a straightforward loyalty program. If you're already a member and you sign up on our site, you're always signed in and you're a part of it. If you want to sign in, there's no cost to sign in. So every purchase you make on the store, you're getting a point. So every point equates to cash. So at 100 points, you get $1 cash back. We're offering right now for the launch of the store double points throughout the time, birthdays, incentives, different products will increase points. So there's more value. It never expires. There's any time frame with it. So, and it's really easy to check out. You don't have to call someone. It's right there on your screen when you're buying at checkout. You look at your points and you add it right to the system. So it's really, really easy. It's not complex. Basically, as you buy different things you need, you're getting points and you can redeem that at any given time. No expiration. Yeah. So and on top of that, like our pillar is price guarantee. Our also pillar is that we're sourcing really good products as well. So we're looking for those great products. And while we negotiate either buying in bulk or working those products, we're passing on those discounts. So they're getting great pricing. They're knowing they're getting good product. Like you said, our relationship with you guys, our relationship with a lot of other products that we offer. We also try to find products that are really different and differentiating. For example, we have a relationship with a private label skincare that gets the exact same skincare quality stuff, but in a private label. And there's benefits to that. We're in the emerging market of regenerative. So we're looking at that. So we're in the emerging market of exosomes and looking at different types of exosomes and what we see is, shelf stable, what's not. And there's a lot of discussion around all of that. But, if you're a startup practice, you don't know. You just listen to what somebody says and go, right? So we try to do the little legwork on that. And then we also try to provide resources. So Joe's great relationship from GE, it's one of the best imaging devices ever. We have a handheld imaging device for injection guiding. It is the best device out there, hands down. But what we found, there was a gap in training. How can they get training? Not everyone can spend thousands of dollars and fly to someone and get trained on this at certain times. We know this practice. So we created a CME course that's virtual, that they can go learn basic injection and basic anatomy courses when they buy the handheld. So these are different ways we bundle things together to really pass on that to the end user that's going to be using that in the offer that's very different. So we love it. We're excited about it. And we want everybody to make the shift, Aubrey. Everybody come to MedShift.com. Silly plug.
Yes, definitely. Highly encourage you guys to check them out online. And, because I know we're here winding down here in the next few minutes or so, but something I love is let's call it post-sale support. So regardless of what you're purchasing, that's all great, but we all know in this industry also kind of, I say, well, it kind of has a bad reputation with if we move out from you guys and go over to the manufacturer side of like the reps that do anything for the sale. And then it's like, okay, see ya. And then the practice is like left in the dust. And, there's lots of stories around that we've probably all heard of. So something I just really love about you guys is the support that you guys give your customers. Not just are they getting better pricing in your marketplace from all, the product partnerships and things like that you have, but then you also have that loyalty rewards program that goes even a step further. So, I mean, I think all of our listeners can tell just by listening to you guys that you guys really put an emphasis on keeping your customers, keeping them happy, making them as successful as possible. And it's a true partnership between you guys and the practices for mutual success. So I really, really respect both of you guys. I love the business model. We're definitely super grateful and excited to continue our partnership in 2024. So before we wind down, 2024, first of all, I can't believe it's freaking already 2024. Like what? So is there anything that you guys want to share about things coming in 2024 for MedShift? Are there any events you guys will be at? Just any things you want to end with? I'm going to give the stage to you guys.
Perfect. Well, Sean, I'll start and then you finish. But first of all, Audrey, like I said, honor and a pleasure. We're really privileged to be on with you, and great conversation. We love the growing relationship. So thank you for that. Just at a macro level, we're extremely excited about the market. I know that, if you look at kind of macroeconomics, recession, soft landing, where the rate cut's going to be, et cetera. I just go back to, aesthetics is 7% penetrated, huge market opportunity. It's growing at 8 to 10% a year, every year. The business that I came from, call it acute care, reimbursable healthcare. If it grew at 3%, you did backflips. So this is amazing business to be in for all of your listeners. Yeah. So we're just really excited about the market opportunity. And then on the MedShift side, Sean, do you want to just touch on? Of course, we've got the store that we're launching here with more and more offerings. Anything else, Sean?
Yeah, I would just say our campaign is Make the Shift with MedShift. January 18th is the big launch. We're offering 10% to all your listeners automatically if they've never been on. So please go to store.medshift.com on our best sellers, our new arrivals. As I mentioned, if you're interested in getting to semaglutide and not doing an injection forward sublingually, we'll have an amazing program at a great cost to provide to your patients. If you ever want to do BBL, it's BBL season. Get ready now. We got a great new program there. We have great injectable partners. And what you'll find on our store is that we make it really easy to shop. So by your specialty, if you're a laser technician, you want to get regenerative, you're an injector, see all the great products and partners we provide there. A lot of good things coming throughout this year. We will be at some of the meetings, and we really, truly thank you for this opportunity to talk to all your listeners. You've been an amazing partner and a person I've always looked up to. So thank you for the time. And we are thrilled for 2024.
I love it. And the feeling is mutual. I'm with both of you guys. So Joe and Sean, first of all, thank you. I know how busy we all are for carving out some time, literally the first week of 2024, which you all know is the week everyone's scrambling, stressed out of their minds, trying to, recoup from, a couple of days off and things like that. So I just want to say thank you for carving out some time. I'm on the same boat as you guys, super excited from where the industry is at, where the industry is growing, excited for our partnership. And I just love what you guys are doing because you're really solving a gap for what is still over 80% of the aesthetic marketplace. So huge thank you to both of you guys. And thank you once again for coming on the True to Form podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.